Hey, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee, and during the broadcast, I'm going to have a very important announcement to you guys that have been with me for a while that will understand it. The others are not going to grasp it, but it'll be, I would say, rather important to you. Okay? I'll introduce it in the broadcast. All right. I don't know where in the broadcast yet because my head is full of what I got to talk about today. All right, so what we're going to cover today: Israel is going to strike Iran. America has apparently approved whatever these plans are already because the CENTCOM guy is here. He may have left. I don't think so. I think he's still here. He's probably going to remain. General Kurilla of America. I think he's probably going to stay here during the attack. And we're going to go through this. I'm going to cover all the different possibilities that I could discern. Okay? And what the counter responses are going to be, and we'll try to mesh it with Bible prophecy and so forth. Okay? In addition, I'm going to discuss now, we're seeing progress in churchianity, the big gurus talking now not only Zechariah 12, but Zechariah 14. And they actually placed Zechariah 14 in a reasonably correct time frame, very interesting, and are teaching the difference between Zechariah 12 and Zechariah 14. I sincerely tell you that as far as I know, I'm the only one for many, many years that ever was teaching Zechariah 12, Zechariah 14. They have not yet spoken about year of recompenses, year of redemption, day of vengeance being in both. They're not talking about Ezekiel 8 to 11, which is Gog and Magog. Okay? They're not talking about another temple. They're not talking about the glory of God of Israel. They're not talking about the appearing of the Son of Man different from his actual return to earth. They're not talking about the 270s in Daniel 9:24 and many other things that one would need to put the pieces of the puzzle together correctly. Okay? But progress has been made, and you guys that have been contributing to the channel, enabling me to keep doing this and not get involved in some secular activity on the internet, where I can earn myself a decent living and not have to drive old cars and have roofs that leak and things like this, and have old clothes that are, 12, 15 years old to some extent. I have some new shorts and things like that. But anyway, and I've been burning my eyes out on the internet all these 12 years I've been doing this. So I'm going to get into that announcement later on, I think. And I don't want you guys that have been with me for a long time, that supported the channel, to worry at all. And some of the things I'm going to drop are going to be heavy, but they're not going to be heavy for you. Okay? They're going to be nice for you. All right? So, let me start with some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. I'm going to go into the live stream and make sure that we have sound and picture, which is a little bit on the important side, I would say. I got no good resolution on a microphone. People were suggesting I get something with a USB port, but my iPads don't have the USB port, so that of course doesn't do a bit of good. Some people may come in and then leave because they don't like, me taking the time to read the chat and put something up in the chat. Peace is not possible with Israel because of the Bible prophecies and God. Mexico, okay. Alright, I'm gonna put up some things in the chat rather quickly and then we'll move on. Chief, calm down. You're not eating right now. We've come to the conclusion that Chief and Yaffa excel in the areas of annoying barking, eating, and sleeping. And they also are very cuddly. They love to cuddle. Okay. No, Chief. Not only did Chief recover, we prayed for him. He also, I saw him walking backwards last night. Rapidly too. I mean, he's got his, locomotion back. Please don't gum up my legs. Okay, we got the haters in there today. Makes them feel better, they go, Israel shouldn't exist, we hate Israel, you're gonna get wiped out, delusions. Okay. Israel's going to hit Iran, and they're going to hit Iran big. And when, I don't know. I'm expecting when the USS Truman aircraft carrier group is in theater, which I don't believe is yet, but it can't be more than another day, 2 or 3. They're going to kick it into gear. I believe that they'll have one aircraft carrier group around the Persian Gulf, which they already have the Lincoln aircraft carrier group there. Probably one in the Mediterranean near Israel and Lebanon. We touched, the 2 countries touched. They may put one in the Red Sea, but I don't think so. They got hit by an anti-ship rocket or some missile or something from Yemen, and I don't think they want to have to worry about that. And it's not that much critical about Yemen that they need to put it there. Okay. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. There could be another aircraft carrier group coming over here that we don't know about, and there also could likely be more destroyers and missile cruisers coming over here that we don't know about. China's made no objective moves to help Iran. We're not seeing planes from China coming in. We're not seeing troops, ships. Not seeing anything. Okay, nor are we seeing anything from Russia. Russia may try to fly some more advanced weapons into Iran if they even have them. Looking at the successes Ukraine has had with Russia, I don't think they have any real super advanced weapons myself. Okay. Russian submarines are still off the coasts of America as far as I know, and they could fire missiles from underneath the water that carry large warheads, and they're supposedly hypersonic, who knows, and they could hit targets in America. Okay? So what I'm going to do is explain to you what America could do and what Israel could do and what I think is likely to occur. Before I start, nobody, including me, predicted the exploding walkie-talkies and pagers and fingerprint scanners and phones and all the stuff that went on in Hezbollah. So I do need to caution you that something could happen to Iran that I have no cognition or idea about. It could be. But I'm not that sure that that's what we're going to see. Possibly Israel could explode a lot of their phones, walkie-talkies, pagers, different wireless instruments connected to the internet. This I can't tell you that it would be for sure or anything. You have to remember that Israel has to hack into the network, where they transmit to the phones, pagers, walkie-talkies, and so forth. And the Iranians may have that wrapped up, protected. I don't know. It's possible we will do that. Okay? You don't need, they didn't put explosives in the phones. I covered that like 5 times. Okay. So now the latest is one newspaper saying that the Hezbollah people had to take the pager out of their pocket and push 2 buttons to get it to explode. Well, that's a complete untruth, because many of these pages exploded in the pockets of the people, so they never had a chance to push any buttons. Okay, so that's more lies. People don't want to acknowledge the fact that Israel was able to pull this off without buying companies and implanting explosives in batteries and phones. That's what that's all about. All right? All right, let's go through the options. One option is we hit the nuclear facilities. There's 5. Do I think we're going to do that? No. Why? Well, America and Israel know that nukes are not anything that you have to worry about, because if they were, they would have been used many times in the past, and they're not. And they were telling us 5 years ago Iran has enough material to make nuclear bombs. And they've been telling it to us every year, in another week, and another week, and come on. Let's not worry about that. What are they doing? Well, they may be thinking they can make nuclear explosives, and they might be trying to make nuclear plants to generate power, or I don't know. Okay? If Iran got nukes, then Israel would have nukes, and I don't believe Israel has nukes, nor America, nor anybody. But let's move ahead. And my evidence, simply put, is if they had them, they would have used them many, many times over. Dirty bombs, tactical, limited force nukes, and stuff like that. Never once. Okay, what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki was incendiary bombs lit up in the atmosphere. But I can't spend the time on all of this. I've done it so many times. Okay. I don't think Israel has the capability to use bunker buster bombs to penetrate these nuclear facilities and blow them up. If we were going to do it with 2,000-pound bombs, we would have to have planes haul a lot of them over there. And I guess we'd probably have to drop somewhere between 6 and 12 on each nuclear facility, and I'm not even sure it would work then. I do not believe Israel has planes that could haul 5,000-pound bunker buster bombs, and even if we did, you'd probably have to drop 3, 4, 5 of those. America has monster bunker buster bombs. They had something for 25,000 pounds, something for 30,000 pounds. That would do it, I believe. I do not think they're going to go do it. I don't think they're going to waste the time and energy. Let's explain. You don't have to go to war college to understand wars. If we hit the nuclear facilities, Iran's going to launch massive amounts of missiles at Israel, and they have threatened to attack the oil-producing countries in the Middle East, Kuwait, I believe Bahrain, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, maybe Oman. Okay, they said one time that if we hit their oil and gas facilities, they would do that. The hitting the nuclear sites, I'd say take it off the table. Okay. Anything Israel does should be, I'm using the word should be designed to slow down, stop, or prevent Iran from launching massive amounts of missiles around the Middle East and in Israel, which they have capability. But to stop it all is monumentally difficult. They've got missile launches in caves, on mountains, in mountains, spread all over the place. Okay? Like Hezbollah, but many, many times more. I don't know how many, at least 5 or 10 times more. The nuclear plant thing, Biden said he's not in favor, but take it off the table. I don't see any gain for that. If America wants to use, now listen to me, wants to use Iran and bait them in so they could justify an attack on Iran, they need to have Iran attack or attempt to attack the oil refineries like in Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and so forth, and the ports and the piers. Then America could say, oh, our allies, the Muslims, got attacked, now we're in the fight. They won't do it for Israel. They're not going to go to war to defend the stinking Jews, okay? Forget it, okay? Israel's a proxy to them. America uses Ukraine as a proxy. It's the same thing. Ukraine gets killed, gets attacked, they keep giving Ukraine more weapons. Israel gets attacked for a whole year now, and they just keep giving Israel more weapons. Like Ukraine, you got to accept we're a proxy. And that, of course, reflects darkly on Netanyahu. Don't kid yourself. Okay? Now, all roads lead to getting rid of Iran. So that means all roads lead to baiting Iran into doing something. Their best bet is if Iran attacks countries in the Middle East other than Israel. Now, attacking the American bases, American ships, that would work too. Either way, it works. Then America could get in the war and they could knock Iran down from being in BRICS, from the digital currency in BRICS and selling their oil without sanctions, without using the SWIFT system, to many countries around the world that would buy it from Iran, and Iran would prosper in this new currency, and they want to stop that. Russia's the other one they want to stop, and believe me, they're on their way to doing that too. Well on their way. All they got to do is tell Ukraine, okay, now you can use the long-range missiles, hit St. Petersburg, Moscow, and all of that, and Russia's going to be in extremely insane straits, and I would expect the October 22nd conference with BRICS in Russia to be canceled. I would give it a 90% chance of getting canceled. And that would suit America perfectly because the delay gives them more time to weaken Russia. Okay? Don't expect to see Russia do much for Iran. Okay? Israel is avidly and aggressively attacking North Gaza, parts of Gaza, and Lebanon day and night. I mean, they're pounding Lebanon. Okay? Don't be there. Move. Don't get in there. So that's prep, I'm sure, for the war with Iran. Iran's message to us, look, we don't like you attacking and invading Lebanon, so we missile attacked you. If you counterattack us, we'll counterattack you again. And Israel already said it, when we attack you, if you counterattack, it's going to be pretty bad for you. Don't expect this to be a one-shot hit. It's probably going to be a regional war going to a world war, or many countries will be affected. Definitely America. Okay? The Bible prophecy people sometimes talk about the sleeper agents. You know? They don't want to lose America. That's the base for their churches. There's other bases. South Korea is an important base of churchianity. And there's others, okay? So, what does Israel hit? If Israel and America assemble a force of, I would say, in excess of 100 planes, it'd probably need to be about 200. Plus drones, plus ship-launched missiles, plus long-range missiles from Israel. We could take out their radars easily, then go in and start hitting the missile launching sites. They probably would start launching missiles during the attack, and it would be a massive amount of strikes involved. Planes would be refueled, landing, rearming, refueling, going back again. It would keep going. It wouldn't be quick. It would probably take, I would say, it'd be 6 to 12 runs at a ram, something like that. Now, if America is in the war now, if they are going to get in the war, which is a possibility, Kurilla could be here, running the war from Tel Aviv bunker in Israel. And this is something that they'll do, because once they disable Iran's missile launch capability, then they would blow up the command, control, and intelligence centers in Iran, where the bosses of Iran are. They would be in bunkers, they would be difficult to get, but they would be gettable. Okay? That would create chaos in Iran. The morale of the soldiers would be broken, there would be confusion, and then the oil facilities could be hit. 90% of the Iranian oil goes out of one port area. That's all they gotta hit. They don't have to blow the refineries up. They just blow the port and the pier up. They blow out the power generator or the electricity for that area. Blow out the storage tanks for the oil that they load onto the ships. Blow out all that equipment that transfers the oil into the tanker boats. Blow the whole infrastructure up, the buildings, everything. So there's nothing left. It'd take months to rebuild it. That puts Iran in a very bad position because their missiles are destroyed. To some extent, we're never going to get them all. And their infrastructure is destroyed, and their big pier, where they make most of their money, is destroyed. Now, there's some concerns that America has in that Iran may try to close the Persian Gulf as a result of this attack. So that would mean the Iranian warships would need to be sunk. They've sent them out into the ocean away from Iran, but I would say there's a 95% to 100% chance America knows exactly where those ships are. And they could be attacked by submarine, by aircraft, by missile, and easy. These boats have no air defense systems to speak of. It's just a piece of cake. This leaves Iran with 1,500 plus go-fast boats, which could create havoc. And that's one reason the A-10 Warthogs are brought in, because they could wipe out these go-fast boats in mass production numbers. The F-22s, of which they have at least 2 squadrons of, would be used to open up Iran, hit the radar and the air defense systems, and then the regular planes come in and start working. If we just hit their command and control centers and their leaders, it's not going to stop missile attacks. Hezbollah is running around like the headless horseman, and they're still doing missile attacks. So you're not going to stop them that way. But you will throw them into confusion, derision, force them to have to regroup while they're being attacked, and break the morale. And it'll drive the revolutionaries in Iran into a frenzy to try to get rid of the Khomeini idiot. Now, there's a high probability Khomeini's in a bunker that's probably at least 100 feet underground with a lot of fortified concrete. And the question becomes which bunker, because he might have tunnels connecting to other bunkers. So it's a problem. It's not that easy. Just attacking the oil and gas could work, but what that would have to be is like America and Israel fly 100 planes over Iran, breaking the sound barrier to show Iran what's going to happen if they retaliate. It could work. Iran is cowardly. It could work. They're cowardly and they're also psychotic. It's a bad combination. Psychotic in that they believe their own lies. So do we really know what's going to happen? No, it's going to be big and it's going to be punishing. Okay, and I think no matter what they do, Iran's going to come out fighting because they're going to be frightened. And they think if they don't do anything, there's going to be a ground invasion, assassinations on them. The leaders are going to be fearful of their own lives and attack just to deter anything happening to them. But they don't have an end game. They're, in other words, painting themselves in a corner, and they're not going to know how to get out of the corner. Okay? America has pulled too many offensive weapons into theater, including tens of thousands of soldiers, for me to just assume they're here only to defend Israel. I don't think so. But they may not jump in on this round. They may wait. Or not. I don't know. America doesn't care if Israel takes missiles. They rather enjoy it, as evidenced by their actions in the last year. They don't care. I don't think they want to see Israel get decimated right now. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're headed for that. They're headed to continue with the fake Israel under their control. And that's never going to happen. But there's not many other options. They could hit the command, control, and intelligence center. They could hit their ports, piers, pipelines for oil and gas, refineries. They could hit their nuclear sites. They could hit their navy. They could hit their infrastructure, or they could hit all of the above. Now that might be on the table. I don't know. The Americans could leak the timing of the attack to Iran, but I don't see why at this point they would do anything like that. Yemen will do token launches. Syria might, although it looks like Syria and Iraq, the Iranian-backed militias, there's discussion about this in Israel. To use street terms, it looks like these militias punked out. They aren't doing much of anything. They looked at what Iran let happen to Gaza and Hezbollah, and they say, we're next. So they're just laying low. They're not doing anything, and that might be the case. Or not. The guy that was destined to take over Hezbollah, I think he's the fourth one in the chain, declined and said he's going to go to Tehran to continue studies in the Islamic book, the Quran. He knows if he takes it over, he's dead. Hezbollah had some victories against the Israeli soldiers by ambushing them. When we first went into Lebanon, there were some booby traps that hurt soldiers and stuff like that. That's ended. The Israeli army adapted. The Hezbollah keep falling back. They're not trying to push Israel out. They're falling back. Do they want Israel to occupy South Lebanon? And then Iran missile barrages South Lebanon? It's a thought. It's not a highly likely one. But it's not going to save Hezbollah. I don't think Iran's got much interest in that. France is saying they want to put a weapons embargo on Israel now. You know, Macron is about as bad as Biden, but he has no excuse because he's not an old guy with dementia. He's just a piece of junk, you know. He's a worthless junk box that the French people have as their unfortunate leader. He's so scared of war. He's against any war for any reason. He's scared. He's really scared. So, Israel's not going to hold back on Lebanon anymore for the likes of Macron, who has a lot of investments. France has a lot of investments in Lebanon. A lot of them speak French and stuff. Hezbollah, by falling back, preserves their lives. They shoot anti-tank weapons at tanks when they can get away with it, which is not often. They shoot and then they fall back. So, these are idiots in a suicide game. And their pipe dream here is that Iran's going to save the day. Iran isn't going to do anything of the sort, but you got to understand, Iran is crazy. If you think that the leaders of Iran are not insane, you don't understand. They're insane. They think that the whole world is going to put up with them for an indefinite period of time because their God is with them. The whole world is quite mad about the Houthis, their proxy, stopping shipping in the Red Sea for what, 6-7 months or so? And the other day they shot at a tanker ship from Great Britain. I mean, people are mad at Iran because they know Iran's behind this. Now America's giving Netanyahu a license to hit them. If Israel says it's going to be big, it's not going to be that we're going to go in and hit 2 or 3 air bases and go home. It's going to be more than that. America may be trying to scare Iran into accepting the attack from Israel and not retaliating. It's simple. You attacked Israel. Israel paid you back to save face. Now, if you escalate it and go back again at Israel, we're going to wipe you out. Will it work? 10% chance. Probably 5%. America has led Iran to believe that they will never do anything seriously by their behavior. And Iran is wrong. You try to bring down the US dollar, which Iran is doing, and take over all the oil in the Middle East, which Iran is doing, they'll go to war against you, lickety split. And Iran has not learned this yet. They will. So the prime goal of Netanyahu should be to cut the missile flow out so we don't keep getting attacked by Iran. I'm not so sure there is an option for that would work. And that's where we're at right now. Now that's what the world thinks and does. It's not saying what God will do. Because that remains to be seen. Let me look at the chat and see if we've got questions. Johnny UPS? I have no idea who Johnny UPS is. Oh, it looks like we got a black Hebrew here. He'll tell us that we're Edom or something. I'm sorry, I take down posts in foreign languages. I don't block you. But people come in here in foreign languages and curse us. Somebody wrote Acts 2:16. Let's look it up. But this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. Okay. All right. So the attack could be today, tomorrow, next day. It's coming. Okay. Israel is very aggressively hitting Gaza and Hezbollah because they want that to calm down when we hit Iran. Okay. If Hezbollah had so many great, fantastic weapons, why has Iran for many weeks been struggling to smuggle weapons into Hezbollah? Good question, isn't it? We've been almost daily bombing bridges, tunnels, roads connecting Syria to Lebanon to stop transportation of weapons. So Hezbollah is apparently in dire straits. They've been invaded already. Shoving Hezbollah back to the Litani River doesn't stop missiles from coming in. It's only 17 to 18 miles. What it does do is it stops the Katyusha rockets, which is the vast lion's share of what they have, but their medium range and longer missiles could still penetrate into Israel because they go, I guess they can get them to at least 35 miles, if not, more. So that's still going to be a threat. So that doesn't work unless we completely bust out Hezbollah. And we're trying to bust out Hezbollah. It's a little difficult because there's this irregular government called Lebanon over there that's weak, disjointed, and doesn't care what happens to us. And they are now caring, of course, because this happened to them. I believe at least 1 million people have had to leave Lebanon. So they're not happy, but they've brought it on themselves. Well, Hezbollah's here and they're, going to kill Israel and the Jews. And so what? That's their position, I guess, by their actions. Okay. So this is going to light up, and it's probably going to affect prophecy in a big way and throw us into a big war. The world, probably. Okay? Because this is based on Russia and China sitting still and letting Iran go down. And China needs oil from Iran, as does India. And Russia too. So Russia and China are the big suppliers. So they knock Iran out, and then they just start with the long-range missile launches into Moscow and St. Petersburg and wherever the heck Putin's holding his BRICS summit, which is probably in Moscow. Well, we could look. Let's see where it is. Maybe my theory is flawed. It's a city called Kazan. No, held in Moscow. No, then I'm reading that might not be the right summit. Hang on. No, it's going to be held in a place called Kazan. Okay, we'll find out where that is. I never heard of it before. Could be a resort. Huh? That's Tatarstan. Oh, Tatarstan. At the confluence of the let's see. It's about a half-hour flight. It's about 320 miles. It's no 450 miles near Moscow, but it's west of Moscow. So that means it's closer to Ukraine. Wow, that's not good for them. So the bottom line here is if long-range missiles are flying around in Russia, hitting Moscow, St. Petersburg, that means they're in striking distance of Kazan, and I think a lot of the people aren't going to want to go, as a guess. That's one way they could get rid of that conference. It would get postponed to January, probably. Of course, if Iran is not able to deliver oil and gas, it decreases the importance of this BRICS thing. But it remains to be seen how they'll deal with it. but I think that their plans are to deal with Iran and Russia before October 22nd, because the introduction of this blockchain digital currency like Bitcoin would uh, devalue the US dollar quite massively. Not 3% or 8%, like really big numbers. All right, so what's going on with me? I think, and I'll tell you why, I think that my days of doing this on the internet is drawing to a close. Okay? My cash reserves are diminishing, where I'm starting to think about being uncomfortable about it. And that is normally, I'm not going to get into details. That's probably a sign to me that it's my time to move on is coming close. Okay, it's not a sign to me that I'm in trouble with God and I'm being punished. No, 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 no. It's a sign to me that it's time for me to move on, as in boots on the ground. The people in Israel's eyes have been closed and their ears have been stopped. I haven't been working in Israel. I've been doing this around 12 years. I learned a lot because it forced me to really dissect prophecy, surgically disassemble it and reassemble it, and then in more recent years line it up with current events as a further confirmation. And I learned a lot. Okay? I learned a lot. Like reading Jeremiah 30, verse 11, where it says, the Lord will destroy all the nations he scattered the Israelites into over the centuries, is what I believe it means, is associated with the birth pangs. And I first was aware of this scripture in the early 1990s, okay? Or maybe 1990, even something like that. And I had no way to reference it as to where or when, but now I can. I knew the scripture existed, but I couldn't understand any time frame for it. Now I can. So I learned a lot, and many of you learned a lot. Okay? And those of you that have been sincere supporters and followers, I believe know enough that you'll not only be able to get through what's going to be coming, you'll be able to help others. Years ago, I was roughly, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago or something like that. I was really disgruntled with doing the live streams because so few people would give offerings. It was very frustrating. And the Lord spoke to me and he said to me, they're not worthy. That's what he said. Was he just talking about Satan bots? Probably not. I can't guarantee it, but I don't think it was just them. See, the way God sets the system up is his ministers preach the word. Okay? Now, what I'm going to lay on you right now is very, very heavy, but it's not going to affect you and your households, but it's very heavy. Not for you. You and your whole house shall be saved. Not for you and your whole house, but for many others. Some of you know about why I'm here and why I'm doing this, and some of you don't. Some of you have an idea who I am, and some of you don't. All right. So it says in the scriptures, God set a system up, okay? And it says things like, don't muzzle the ox when he treads the grain. Well, I don't have an exact number, but I would say it's between, let me think, probably between 1 and 3% or 1 and 2%, something like that. I don't have an exact number. The people that follow me give any money at all. Okay? Now, I'm aware that there's probably a few people that are homeless and, don't have any, but I would say that you could count those on one hand. Okay? The rest is covetous, which is what did Ananias and Sapphira in, but they lied to the Holy Spirit. But the covetousness drove them to it. Mammon is the root of all evil. So the Lord says that when you don't do the giving, you're robbing the Lord. And the system is not that you go out and you get a job and, at night you do the teaching. That's convoluted. The first and most paramount important thing is to do the Bible studies, the teaching, combining it with current events first and foremost, not to go out and chase mammon first and foremost. Those are the mammon worshippers that suggest that's what people like me should do. The people are supposed to give her their carnal things when they receive the spiritual things. Okay. Now, a lot of them don't, and a lot of them don't give because I'm a Jew. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Don't think that's not true. It's very true. And I rub it in their eyes when I have my description box explains that I'm a cone and all that. And they don't like that. They don't like the Word of God. Okay, now I'm going to read. From Malachi 2. And now, O you Kohanim, now, as you know, that's what I am, a descendant of Aaron. Okay, which also makes me a Levite. Not all Levites are descendants of Aaron, but all descendants of Aaron are Levites. Okay? And now, O you priests, this commandment is for you. And the word for commandment is mitzvah. It's a good deed to obey it. That's how the Israelis interpret that, the Hebrew interprets. If you will not hear, and you will not lay it to heart, to give glory unto my name, saith Jehovah of armies. Don't I do praise before every video? I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and one shall take you away with it, and you shall know that I have sent this commandment, this mitzvah, unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi. See, the people, I've read this to him many times, that he has a covenant with Levi. They reject it because their Jesus in the church world has a covenant with the church. Their Jesus is Satan. Or actually, Tammuz, the sun god, which could be Satan, whose birthday is December 25th, by the way. Okay. Unto you that my covenant might be with Levi, saith Jehovah of hosts. My covenant was with him of life and of peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and lawlessness was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn away many from lawlessness. Have I not done that? For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the Malach, the messenger of the Lord of hosts. God teaches the people through the Kohanim. God also says he accepts you when you're in Israel. So here you have a Kohanim in Israel, full of the Holy Spirit, teaching Old and New Testament, and they won't give offerings because I'm a stinking Jew. And the bottom line to them is I'm a rejected Jew. I'm not talking about the ones that come in once a year and say, oh, this guy's interesting, but he's a Jew, he's crazy. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ones that keep coming and get fed and won't give offerings. See, what you see here in Israel is there's people from Norway, from Sweden, from Denmark, from, did I say Finland, from England, Scotland, many countries that hang around in Israel. They're churchianity false teachers. And they get themselves a facility. And then when the people come from their home country, America, of course, is a big thing, they go see these guys. And they throw money at them. Because they don't like the Jews. And their church doctrine has them coming back to Israel from heaven as gods, reigning over the Jews with a rod of iron. So they're taught not to like the Jews. You're going to beat them with a rod of iron one day. Now the scripture says Yeshua is going to reign over the heathen nations with a rod of iron. There is no scripture that says they're going to reign over the Israelites with a rod of iron, but they don't care about that. They're not believers. All right? They believe in another gospel and another Jesus, and they receive another spirit. They're not worthy. I'm not God. I'm just saying my opinion. They're not worthy. God told me that once. All right? I'm not God. I'm not condemning them. I'm just saying that. Reminding you of that. So, things are going to get bad real quick. And I've been sent to them, and they've rejected it. Okay? By not giving. Because if they really did not reject me and did not reject the teachings, they would want to give so I could promote this to more people. Look, if I had enough offerings, I would have built a studio, probably would have taken the guest house and made it into a studio. That's one thing it was always there for, if it ever came to that, got big enough. And I could have hired people to translate the work into Chinese, Russian, Spanish, you name it. Okay? Good translators. They're in Israel. Good translators. So they don't need to be in Israel. And then put the work out on the internet and in the social media. And I could have hired people to work my posts and put them up on all the different social media, and I could have made a much bigger go of it. And I'm sure reached many other people that never got reached. But these people are covetous, and they have a million excuses in their minds why they can't give money, you know, and they don't. And they won't give to a Jew. Now, let's talk about who is a Jew. The prophets that they read and enjoy, the apostles who they read and enjoy, and Yeshua, who they love, so they say, they love the Jesus of the church, the other Jesus. They don't love the true Messiah. If they did, they would give. So I believe I'm going to be taken away from them, and I don't regret that. It's been very trying, frustrating to have to put up with this for 12 years with them. And they haven't gotten it. They've learned a lot, but they don't perform. They rob God. How do you work with people like that? You've got Ananias and Sapphira in the making. They'll lie, cheat, and steal for money. It just is a question of how bad they want the money at that time, but they will do that. If they rob God, they'll do anything. They don't want a Kohanim. They're not going to want Elijah and Apostle John either, believe me. They're not going to want the glory of God of Israel. They're not of us. That's why they go out from among us. And if this drives them out from among us, that's it. They need to hear it. Okay? When I first started doing this, I was not in Israel. I was in another country, and I had a lot of money. And I did it for a few years, and I never took 10 cents in the form of an offering. And I ran my own money down, and it was a huge amount of money. And then I came to Israel, and I didn't have that much money left, and I've just been getting by, not flourishing. Okay? And it's more expensive to live here than it is for probably any of you listening to me. If there's any of you in Tokyo, maybe you've got the same problem, or if there's any of you in Zurich, Switzerland, maybe you've got the same problem. But I doubt there's very many other places. Okay? So I think it's time soon, maybe not today, that I'll be leaving you with this internet. And I often felt when my finances would go down like this, it would be time to pull out. It's time. It's a sign, I believe, to show me, combining with current events, it's time for me to be doing other things with other people that are going to be more grateful. Now, you guys that have been supporting the work are going to be blessed. You and your whole house shall be saved. Them and their whole houses aren't going to be saved. Okay, the church is a means to getting yourself into the lake of fire. And I'll read you the scriptures. See, and when I read them these scriptures, that's another reason they don't want to give offerings, because they don't want the truth. They want somebody who's not an Israelite, not a Jew, not in Israel, to tickle their ears with garbage, and then they just coddle that person, okay, for various reasons, but that's what they like. And that's why these false preachers and false teachers become millionaires. Galatians 5:19, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, they don't know what uncleanness is, lasciviousness, which is like petting, porn, stuff like that. Idolatry, they don't know, come to the cross, the old rugged cross, they go up there and kneel down to a piece of wood and start praying to it and worshiping it. That's idolatry. Witchcraft, hatred, variance. Variance is different doctrinal statements, which all the church world has. Emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, which is divisions, which is denominations. The denomination is a perfect sedition, and it has variance. This is our doctrinal statement. This is what we believe. See, it's all different, yet they accept each other's varying beliefs, variance. Heresies, which is like a sedition. Envyings, murders, mind you, this stuff is right up there with murdering. Drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Now, if you think this is not true, then you're calling God a liar. Compound your problems. Why don't you? Stupid, you should. Okay? And instead they reject me, like they rejected the Word made flesh, Yeshua. That's the reality of it, okay? And it's been, in my mind, a very disappointing experience having to put up with so many of these people that come around acting like they want knowledge and yet at the same time reject knowledge. But it's been rewarding working with those that receive it and grow and flourish. And that's what I was really here for. But I think my work's pretty much been done. In that I think, there's only so many prophecies. The Bible's like this. It's not this big, There's only so many prophecies, and, we've covered them, and you know what's going to happen, and you're well aware, and the time frame is rather brief now. So it is looking to me like it's time for me to be doing things other than the internet. Okay? And I just can't tell you enough. Those of you that have been faithful have nothing to worry about. On the other hand, you've got much to look forward to. You and your whole house shall be saved. Is you guys that follow Jehovah, don't reject knowledge, follow the scriptures, believe the scriptures, want to walk in the scriptures, and you evidence this, by the giving. That was your test. You did the right thing. You did what the scriptures did. I never got rich or anything like that. I was always concerned how I was going to pay the next rent and all this stuff. So, we went 2 winters, I think, with the roof leaking, with buckets in the house. It was, we were very grateful to buy a 10-year-old car in good shape recently. I used to keep 3 cars around that were relatively new. I used to have a few cars all the time, So, and I knocked myself out. I work about, I would say 7 to 9 hours a day, depending on the day. And I'm old, and that's about what I could do. And that's what young people work. But when young people have finished working, they still got a lot of energy, and I don't have a lot of energy after that. I'm pretty depleted. It's like me and the iPad, I don't have much energy for much, and the Lord knows that. So it's extremely rare He has me do another Bible study or another live stream in the same day. It's super duper rare that ever happens. That's it. I get up, typical days, I start around 5-ish, and the broadcast is over someplace between 11 and 12. So I'm working right through that. And then, except for little chores like, making coffee, dealing with the dogs, their water, and stuff like that. And then that's it for my day, except I update the Telegram about 5 times a day usually. So I'm continuing doing some work. Not a tremendous amount of work, but still work. Okay. And I've got to go through a lot of posts and different postings and online and websites and social media, and then I put the good stuff up in the Telegram. And that's it. So these people have been supporting the churchianity people that preach the other gospel and the other Jesus and have the other spirit, and they're going to get to go spend eternity with them. Galatians 5:19-21. So you shouldn't be worried about me if I'm truly right about this, which I'm beginning to think I am. Moving away from the internet. First of all, there may not be an internet much longer. The electricity and all that, right? With the wars. And you will be fine. More than fine. You'll be blessed. You were the ones that wanted to help spread this to other people, and other people would receive it and come out of it and, serve the Lord and be a son of God and be in God's family. You were the ones that were trying. These other people are just gaga goo goo. They don't know what they're about. They're blown about by every wind of doctrine. Okay? So, I don't know what else I could tell you. That's about it. And those of you, the real ones, I'll see you in the land. Believe me, I won't be hard to find. Oh no. All right, so let's talk about what I'm picking up these goofballs are now teaching. I heard this, one of the big guru authors of churchianity false teachings is Bill Salus. And he is followed by many and respected by many in the churchianity dark world. And he is now talking about Zechariah 12 and Zechariah 14, which shocked me. And we should go through, I will show you what he's teaching and why some of it is right and why some of it is wrong, and how you could help those if the Lord leads you to help some of these people. But the tares and the wheat grow up together, and the angels take the tares out, and there's going to be a lot of tares gone. Okay? Faith without works is dead. So you have a certain amount of people that are going to say, oh yeah, this is the true gospel, and this and that, but they won't put their money where their mouth is, because they still enjoy robbing God, and it feeds their covetousness. And that means they don't fear God, because he says he puts a curse on them for that in Malachi 2, for the Levites being bad. And it says, you shall not muzzle the ox while he treads the grain and all that. And they ignore that. They don't fear God. Okay? Or they wouldn't ignore that. But the reality is they don't fear God. Now, the people that come in here and, listen to me and say, oh, this guy's crazy, this is a lunatic, and leave. I'm not talking about them. They're not in this equation. It's the ones that keep coming back and listening that have their reasons for not giving offerings. You know, he's a Copeland and this and that. Guys, I don't even have enough money to buy a tire on. I probably don't have enough money to buy the tires on Copeland's jets, which are expensive or something. You know, we got a 10-year-old car that we're grateful for, and you see how I dress. This chair that I sit on all the time goes back to 2009. It's an electric massage chair, and the electricity part of it broke about 6 or 7 years ago, and I just use it as a chair. It was extremely well made, and it's not comfortable, but that's what I got, you know. It was a birthday present from my wife to me, and it was a great little chair when it was functional, you know. So, I mean, the refrigerator's full of food. We got food. You know, some of these people would probably enjoy seeing me say, well, we're going to run out of food tomorrow. I need help buying food. You know, a lot of people would like to see me live like that. But is the person that feeds you spiritual knowledge supposed to not be revered and helped? It's supposed to be everything is the dregs? Is that how it's supposed to be? You're just supposed to have the dregs, right? That's how people think, you know. Let them eat cheap food. Let them wear t-shirts and shorts from Salvation Army, which they don't have in Israel. And let them grovel, you know. You think it's fun running around Israel in a 10-year-old cars if you break down near the Arab areas? What do you think could happen? I'm going to take a break for a minute and come back. And, you know, my parting thought would be, again, if they were giving like they were supposed to, I could have turned the guest house into a studio. I could have got real equipment, right? You know, have people to run it, have a real camera, real microphone, a studio, editors, translation in many languages, and reach many, many more people. I wasn't going to go out and buy an Aston Martin like James Bond, okay? But no, never happened. I'll be right back. I didn't hear it. No problem. AC on. We're going to hit 93 today. When I was sitting in some other country, roughly 10 years ago, or something like that, the Lord was talking to me and told me He was considering sending me to the Israelites. And then He sent me. And I have been working with the Israelites. Those of you that have received it, to the Jew first, then the Greek, to the Jew first, then the heathen, the Goyim. But quite a few of you realize that. But there's other Israelites. Okay. That I'm going through. And I needed time. It took me these 12 years or so to really get the scriptures better. Do I really have the scriptures down? Gosh, no. No, I could write big books of what I don't know. Just kidding. But no, I don't have it down that good. But I got it down better than I used to. That I'm positive. But there's still a lot of things. See, the prophecies don't show you every little thing. Okay. Trying to get closer to the microphone. I don't even have good sound system. I have people tell me I'm hard to hear. I'm using iPads. These churchianity goofballs got buildings, and they got, whole studios, where they'll buy a microphone that costs, $2,000-$3,000, or at least $400 or $500. They'll buy cameras that cost thousands. They don't broadcast with an iPad. They'll have a real camera, and they'll have an editing suite, and they'll edit and make nice videos. They put things in the video, splice things in. I don't have the equipment and the time to do everything myself. I can't do it all myself. Okay, now the live streams is good, so it's probably good that I did live streams, but I could have done it in a studio with better equipment, and I could have flashed other screens. There's a lot of technical stuff I could have done, and it would have been easy if I had staff, but the big thing is I could have put it in other languages and stuff, but no, these people don't want that. Okay. A lot of them reject the teaching, and a lot of them reject Jews. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm telling you, I'm a Jew. I'm telling you. I remember a few years ago a guy came in here and said, never trust anybody that looks like him. The church guy. Let's go to Zechariah 12. Do I think that this little talk I did today is going to change anything? No. I'm just warning you, prepping you for what I think's coming down the pike. Okay? I'm not going to go into every single, thing, but that's what I think. So it says here, in that day will I make the governors of Judah like an earth of fire and wood, and like a torch, among the wood, and like a torch of fire and a sheaf, and they shall, it doesn't say devour, the word would mean burn up all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left, and Jerusalem shall remain still in her own place, even in Jerusalem. Now, he got that part right, that Jerusalem doesn't get taken over, but what he's saying, the lies, is that the word governors is used to mean the military generals. And I've showed you Isaiah 1 many times. It shows you he's going to run Israel again with the judges like he did at the first. And I've explained to you that the judges are prophets, and there's two prophets coming, Elijah and Apostle John, and that's who it is. Okay, and why it's them. And the governors of Judah are not the military of Judah. Remember I showed you the other day, he destroys all the armies of the nations. And what we're coming on to is when they beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. And, you know, that's likely going to happen before Zechariah 12 because we see them coming on horses. We don't see them coming in on F-16s and aircraft carriers and destroyers and tanks and mobile artillery and armored personnel carriers. You don't see that. You don't see that. Okay? And they have not yet dealt. They're trying to figure out, I believe, how to deal with Zechariah 12:10 when they look upon the one whom they appears, combining that with John 6:39, which says, when you see him, you'll have everlasting life. So they're still ignoring that. Okay? But what I've listened to this guy teach, and I think he had a good point. I used to say, well, I'll explain. Let's start in 12:1. The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, saith Jehovah, which stretcheth forth the heavens, and layeth the foundations of the earth, and formeth the spirit of man within him. So he's announcing who he is. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about. Now, the word for people is people, it's not heathen. And the word for round about is sabib. And I think it's pretty correct. Let's see how Strong's uses the word in English. A circle, neighboring circle. Okay, I think it really means those that geographically are round about us, okay? This is what I'm thinking. I used to think this, and then I said, well, it could be all the nations flowing in, but now I'm going back to this. I think it's, maybe there'll be some of the nations flowing in, but it's basically those round about us. When they shall be in the siege, both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. And again, the word for people is it's people, and the word for all is call. Correctly translated, all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces. That's sliced and diced. Though dead, basically, I would say. Though all the people, now this is incorrectly translated as all the heathen. The word for people here is goyim, which is the heathen. And then it says of the earth. And this is the problem. Why I might be right, and they're saying it's just the surrounding nations. Salas is saying that, and he could be right. And it's going to be one of these things where it's not so easily discerned, but I think I could open it for you. The Lord just showed me this. Though call goyim, well, the word though is not in there. It says call all goyim ha'eretz, of the land. Now, it could be the land of Israel, which would go to, the Euphrates River and go all the way to the Nile, the land that he gave us, but it's not yet called Israel. There's a certain school for thought. You could say that, but it's taking a stretch, okay? Because here he's talking about Judah and Jerusalem, and now we're saying, it means greater Israel. That's not such a great way to do it. So it's the heathen of the land of Israel. If we say that, it's just talking about the people of Israel attacking Israel, and I'm not seeing that. So what I think it is the heathen of the earth. because Haaretz could mean the earth. So it's more than just the surrounding nations. And then it says gathered together against. Okay, now let's check the word for together. It's Hebrews 6:22, the Strong's number, Asaph. We'll go to Strong's and see what English words he uses for this. Well, he says gather in together, gather. If we just go with gather or gather in together, we're there. So we got the heathen of the earth gathering together against them. So I don't think we should just restrict it to the countries around us at all. Because of this verse, it just doesn't lend itself too good for that. In that day, say it, and it's obvious, even if it was just the nations around here, their friends would come help them too to some extent, you know. In that day, saith Jehovah, I will smite every horse with astonishment and his rider with madness. And, you know, this could mean that the armies have already been destroyed and they're fighting with Roman era weapons. It could be. How long do you think it would take for Europe and NATO and Russia and all to destroy each other? A few weeks. That's about it. Take some weeks, depending how vigorous they get. In that day, saith Jehovah, I will smite every horse with astonishment and its rider with madness. So Jehovah's in the fight. And I will open my eyes upon the house of Judah, and I will smite every horse of the people, and that word is people, with blindness. And the governor of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength in the Lord of hosts. Now, let me check something here. So, hang on. So when we're in Zechariah 12:5, it says the governors of Judah. That's the same word as in Zechariah 12:6. The governors of Judah shall say in their heart, and that word is, I believe, lev, which is heart. The inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength in the Lord. That's a little screwed up, not much. It's saying the inhabitants of Jerusalem, their strength will be in Jehovah of hosts Elohim. So now we got the military generals, according to Salas, saying that the strength of the people living in Jerusalem is Jehovah of hosts. I don't think so. It doesn't lend itself too good anymore, does it? No. But if it was referencing the two witnesses, it lends itself very good. In that day will I make the governors, it's the judges of Judah, like an earth of fire among the wood, and a torch of fire in a sheaf. Well, they make fire come out of their mouth. It's obviously them. And they shall burn up all the people round about on the right hand and the left. And Jerusalem shall remain still inhabited in her own place, even in Jerusalem. And they don't seem to be able to have to deal with Zechariah 12:10. I don't think they know how they could yet. I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace. And of supplication, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son, and they shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to these gurus in the church false world, the false teachers of the church, and asking them about the scriptures that I'm putting up, and so many people ask, they're starting to prepare answers for this, and their answers are really crappy. But what do you expect? So the only thing they could really say here is that no, when they look upon Yeshua, they looked upon him when he got killed 2,000 years ago. Yeah, but that doesn't work because it talks about all of them mourning for him, and that certainly didn't happen 2,000 years ago. And then you've got to go to 1 John 3:2, which says, when you see him, you shall be like him. And then you have to go to John 6:40, which says, if you're a believer and you look upon him, you'll have everlasting life. Okay? So they're staying away from Zechariah 8-11, which shows us the falling away and the abomination of desolation, and the people falling away in the temple. And it shows us in Zechariah and Ezekiel 9 that an angel comes and places a mark in the foreheads of those that are grievous about the bad things being done in Jerusalem, which is consistent with Jeremiah 31, where it tells us that God is going to judge all the Israelites in the future based on what they themselves did. There's not going to be a corporate punishment on the whole Israel. So the people that are upset at the falling away get a mark on their forehead and no harm comes to them. And perhaps you've read of people with a mark on the forehead in Revelation. I don't know how the false teachers are going to try to deal with that. There's a lot of this stuff they can't deal with. They're avoiding the year of recompenses, they're avoiding the year of redemption, and they're avoiding the day of vengeance like the plague. If they make the corrections into the narrative of the churchianity doctrines, they'll destroy their own church. So they just really can't do it. I was sent to the Israelites, not the church world. I try with them, as you know. I do try. We're supposed to try. Go you forth into all the world, But where have I gotten with them? Very, very few. But I have gotten some that have come out. You want to say? I gotta send this quick email. Yes.
The bird made it through surgery.
Okay.
She had an infection.
Oh.
Before she wasn't strong enough to take an antibiotic.
Now
but
she is.
Because she's gained so much weight, before she opened this time, Revital's been able to close her again and give her an antibiotic.
Okay.
So just that she has to heal free of infection. That's how the people are praying, that she heals free of infection.
Okay, guys, so the bird with the breast and the food going out, what went wrong is she had some infection in there. So the infection causes inflammation, some of the food was leaking out. They had to do a minor surgery on it today. Probably go in, clean the infection, and put a couple of stitches in. And now we gotta pray she has no further, now she's strong enough to take the antibiotic too. So pray she's strong enough to keep infection free, take the medicines, I suppose, and recover completely. She's a sweet bird. I appreciate your prayers for the bird. Does this bird have a name? I think my wife was thinking of the name. I can't remember it. The bird doesn't know the name, but the Lord knows who the bird is. So please pray for the bird. Pray for Beulah. She seems to be doing okay with her teeth busting up. But she's still running around with the cone on because she has some stitches where the tooth was taken out, the broken tooth. And, you know, she put a paw in the mouth and pulled the stitches out. So I think the stitches are probably about ready to come out, unless they were self-dissolving. I'll find out. But I don't think she'll need the stitches more than a day or two anyway. So keep praying for Beulah because she caused damage to other teeth too. She was freaked out, I believe, from the missiles and the Iron Dome explosions, and tried to get out of the yard by biting through a metal chain link fence and broke her teeth. She panicked. So I've got a score to settle with Hezbollah, don't I? Just kidding around about that, but maybe not kidding around. Okay. So, let me go into my notes. So I was talking about other things they were doing. The 2/3 getting killed. Yeah, we need to talk about this. It appears to me to be Ezekiel 34, and it's found in Zechariah 13 verses 8 and 9. And it shall come to pass in all the land, and that's the same thing again, call ha'eretz, saith Jehovah, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the 3rd shall be left therein. So I believe that this is pertaining to Israel. It could be pertaining to the world, but I think it pertains to Israel. Why? Because I'll keep reading. But the 3rd shall be left therein. And I will bring the 3rd part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried, They shall call on my name, and I will hear them, and I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, Yehovah Elohim. Okay, so I believe it pertains to Israel, and let me quickly jump with you to Malachi 3, which the church people are still trying to cover up. And we'll go into Malachi 3:1. Behold, I will send my Malach, that's Elijah. He shall prepare the way before me, and Jehovah and Adonai, whom you shall seek, shall suddenly come to his temple. So the temple is there before the glory of God of Israel goes in it. Okay? Even the Malach of the covenant, back to Elijah, whom you delight in, they think he will teach them Torah. He shall come, saith Jehovah of hosts. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire and a fuller's soap, and he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. So, very fitting with Zechariah 13 verses 8 and 9, a very good fit. Very good fit. So, who may abide in the day of his coming? And the word for coming here is 935 in Strong's number in the Hebrew, and it pretty much means bow, come. Okay, and I believe that's when he's openly working. And apparently he gets rid of them. I believe that what we're going to see is this, because if it's just the war and missiles and bombs, get rid of them, the people aren't going to get it. I think that it's the Lord, perhaps through the two witnesses, they get rid of them. And we see another sign of this in Malachi 4. It says, for behold, the day cometh, that's the same, the day is Zechariah 12, that shall burn as an oven. Oh, that sounds like the fire coming out of their mouth, right? And all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith Jehovah of hosts, that shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and you shall go forth and grow up. Well, it's really saying you shall frolic about like a calf out of the stall or in the stall. So you're going to have that everlasting life and be like young again, okay? And you shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith Jehovah of hosts. In that day, they're not invading the foreign countries. It's the day when Yeshua appears. Now, they're going to tread down the ashes under their feet, but they're in Israel. They're not leaving Israel. And the enemy gets killed when they're in a siege round about. They're not really invading us. So it appears these are the bad shepherds of Ezekiel 34. They get burned up to 2/3 from Zechariah 13, 8, and 9. It doesn't make sense that it would be the enemies in the nations surrounding us. Because why would they be in that day treading on their ashes? I mean, a week later or a couple of days later, they may start claiming the land in the other countries, but not in that day, you see. And that is more or less taking us back to the tares in the wheat. The tares grow up among the wheat. It'll be in Israel too. And who are the tares? The children of the evil ones. Of Satan and the demons. That's who they are. And he gathers the wheat into his barn. Well, they're here in the barn already, but that doesn't mean it doesn't apply to Israel. I wouldn't be too quick to say it has no applicability because of the 2/3 getting cut off. It seems that it does. Remember you the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb, and all Israel with the statutes and judgments. Well, the rabbis teach him that you don't follow the law of Moses, you follow the Talmud. It overrides it. That's the real verbal law, that's the good law, the real law. The written law was for the heathen to confuse them. That's what they teach Moses did. Not a good idea to teach that. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Well, that is Gog and Magog, but he comes before, and he's going to be with them for the second 70-year period. Not for 3.5 years, but they don't know that. They teach against that. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Now, I don't know how they're going to try to incorporate that into it, but they told so many lies that intertwine. They can't just start undoing the lies. So it's just one thing after another is going to topple them. When they get into Zechariah 4, they're also stuck there too. I'll show you where. And the angel that talked with me, this is verse 1, came and waked me as a man that is waked out of his sleep, and said unto me, What seest thou? And I said, I looked, and behold, a candlestick all of gold, and a bowl upon the top of it, and 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps which are upon the top thereof, and 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right of the bowl, and the other upon the left side of the bowl. And then he was trying to find out what it is, and we'll just drop down. Then in verse 11, then answered I and said, it talks a lot about Zerubbabel completing the temple, because Zechariah and Zerubbabel were contemporaries. Zerubbabel, I don't believe, was a prophet. Zechariah was. So the Lord sent a message to Zerubbabel through Zechariah that he would finish the temple. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit. You should remember that well. Then answered I and said unto him, What are these 2 olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick, and upon the left side thereof? And I answered again and said unto him, What be these 2 olive branches, which through the 2 golden pipes empty the golden oil themselves? The golden oil is indicative of the Holy Spirit. The 7 candlesticks is obviously from Revelation 2 and 3. These 7 churches. 7 is a completeness number of the churches. So the 2 witnesses are bringing the olive oil, the anointing, into the churches, or the congregations, more appropriately stated. And he answered me and said, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my Lord. Then said he, These are the 2 anointed ones. Well, it doesn't say that. Anointed is reasonably correct. Then the 2 is correct, but they leave it out. It says, Who are the Shnaim, 2, B'nai, sons plural, Yitzar, clarified oil or olive oil. So it's saying, who are these 2 anointed sons? Or 2 anointed ones, you could say. Shnaim, B'nai, Yitzar. 2 anointed ones that stand by the Lord of the whole earth. But Shnaim B'nai is sons. I mean, the word means sons in the plural, so it's 2 anointed sons. Yeshua is the firstborn son. Why would God say he's the firstborn if he was the only son? But he's the only begotten son. Yes, he was the only one begotten of a woman, and the Holy Spirit. Okay? So these are God's sons that he sends down in the form of the two witnesses, because God doesn't trust regular people with this kind of power, just to put it bluntly. Okay? Let each reproduce after its own kind. God's sons are reproduced after his own kind. Yeshua's the firstborn, he gets a double portion. It's something I know, but I just don't want to tell you. I just think it's unwise to do it right now. I'm wrestling with it. It's not about me. It's about the creation of the world. But all right, I don't think it's for now. But they're his sons. Yeshua had great power, and he used great restraint. And Apostle John and Elijah used the proper restraint. Yeshua said, no one goes up to heaven unless he comes down from heaven. Yeshua went up on a cloud to heaven. How did the two witnesses go up? Just like Yeshua. They were dead. They rose from the dead. They got on a cloud and went up to heaven. I mean, it's all there. Yeshua said with the disciples, which were the pre-apostles, before they were apostles, said there'd be some standing here today that shall not taste of death until they see the kingdom of God. He was talking about Apostle John, because when you translate it correctly, it's be someone. It's one. It's him. And he was told he must prophesy again to many different peoples and tongues, nations, and so forth in Revelation. And Elijah, it says Elijah comes first, so we know Elijah's going to be there. The Elijah. Okay? And you could also say the Apostle John, and they know each other from heaven. Oh, you know. That's it. So there's so much they've covered up that's starting to open up, but straight and narrow is the way, and few be that find it, guys. There's not going to be a lot that find it. Okay? You and your whole house shall be saved applies to the believers. That faith without works is dead. Those that have faith in works, you guys are going to have that. I don't believe they're going to have that. They're not talking about the daughter of Babylon. They're not tying the daughter of Babylon to the day of vengeance. No. They're talking about, I mean, why don't we see America in Ezekiel 38 and 39? We don't see it because it's a wasteland by then, and you got the owls and the deer and I don't know, or ravens, name your pick, rabbits, running around in America, living in the houses and stuff like that. God doesn't have an axe to grind with those animals. Let them live in the houses. What does he care? I mean, he doesn't care. It's a mocking on them. So they don't talk about tying the sleeper. They do mention the sleeper agents, but they don't put it into Jeremiah 50:51, nor Isaiah 47. They don't want to see Israel be the head of the nations, these church people, and they don't want to see the daughter of Babylon come down. That's the reality of it. You can receive it or not, but by their actions, that's what it is. Okay, I'm going to go with my notes. When we look at the attack on Iran, you got to remember we have Jericho missiles, which can carry warheads of 1,000 to, I think, all the way up to 2,500 pounds. And they have definitely the range to hit Iran, and they're accurate. And I don't know how many we have, but I imagine it's a large amount. because we've been building them for many, many years, and they may be deployed on Iran, hit their radar, hit command centers, hit missile launchers, hit ships, I don't know what. Probably not ships. And that could be combined with drones, which could be combined with air attacks, which could be combined with Israeli submarines in the area doing underwater launches of cruise missiles at them as well. So we have a ton of stuff we could throw at them, okay? Plus, Israel likes surprising their enemies, and I just want to say again, Israel can pull the proverbial rabbit out of the hat like a magician and come up with something that none of us, including me, know about or would predict. And that is something that could happen. So we could sit here and come up with all these war scenarios, but they could, who the heck would have figured they were going to blow pages up? And then a few days later, blow walkie-talkies up. Who would have figured that? Nobody. Nobody. America's been attacking Yemen with the UK a lot, and that means they'll attack Iran. But Yemen did a provocation by attacking ships from many countries, not Israeli ships. So that opens the door for them to attack them. So if Iran starts attacking other countries, the door, I believe, will be open. But America could also say, well, we had, verified intel that that Iran was getting ready to strike, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, Jordan, whatever. So we had to intervene, so we did a preemptive strike. And they could do that, and it would sell, and people would buy it, and the truth is, it's probably going to be true, at least in part. It's probably pretty true if they do it. So Iran, when they talked about hitting the other oil-producing countries, they really was sort of signing their own death warrant, but their own death warrants in Jeremiah 49. Some prayers now, hold on. JD, Jack Delta, JD, Jack Delta, JD Healing for pain relief, JD Healing and pain relief. NE, Normandy Echo, NE, Normandy Echo, NE, Healing for allergies, NE, Healing of allergies. Okay. SH, Sierra Hotel, SH, Sierra Hotel, SH, pray for boldness and wisdom and evangelism. SH. Okay, next is OG, Oscar Golf. Oscar Golf. Golf, or girl, let's just say Oscar Girl, OG. Toss, Demon Toss for OG. Okay, I think I accomplished all, so I'll just again say it's been my pleasure getting to know a lot of you, and you see me now, then you probably won't see me for a while, and then you'll see me again. Believe me, I'm not going to be hard to find in Israel, and I don't have a time frame on this. It may be fairly immediate because our electricity may go out, but this is not about my electricity going out. It's about God changing things with me. So that's what I'm suspicious of now. I'm suspecting, and I just thought it would be good to explain this. I didn't get any check in my spirit from the Lord, or stop doing that. I didn't get any of that. And you got to remember, it's faith without works is dead, and these people have no works. They're basically dead. They're prophecy couch potatoes that want to absorb prophecy and do nothing, and just, they just, But I'm telling you, at the heart of this, a lot of these people won't give 10 cents to a Jew. How are they going to go in the future? How are they going to live in Israel? How are they going to follow the law? How are they going to say they're a brethren of Yeshua, who's a Jew, and the king of Israel, and a high priest in the order of Melchizedek? And how are they going to deal with the anointed prince from the line of David in the next temple? How are they going to deal with Elijah and Apostle John? How are they going to deal with the Israelites? I mean, come on. Do you see how insane it is? How are they, It's sad, too. But they went out from among us because they were not of us. Okay? You got to remember that. Anybody can go to the Jesus December 25th version in the church. That's another Jesus. But you don't go to the true Yeshua. There's no J in the Hebrew alphabet. You don't go to the true Yeshua HaMashiach, which means the anointed, by the way, just like his two sons. Okay, Christ is the same word as the Latin Christos, which is the same word as the Hebrew Mashiach, and it means anointed. That's what it means, anointed. Yeshua is giver of salvation. Yeshua HaMashiach, giver or provider of salvation. The Ha means the Mashiach means anointed. And the two anointed sons in Zechariah 4, like it or lump it, are his brothers from heaven, not the ones from earth, the ones in heaven before there was an earth, his brothers. And he's the firstborn, so he gets the revere and respect. But they're still bros, okay? He's the firstborn, but they're still bros. You got that? Okay. And Jehovah's their father. And when you read Job 1:6, it says the sons of God gathered together with Jehovah, the sons, plural. So it says only begotten son. It's the only one who was born of the Holy Spirit and a woman. You don't call your son the firstborn if you have no other kids. Then he would be my only son. He's the only begotten son. So the evidence for multiple sons is profound, okay, in the Bible. So that's the reality of it, all right? And yes, you will be sons of God one day as well. But these Yeshua, Elijah, Apostle John came down from heaven to take on an earthly form to redeem the earth, you could say, and prepare the way for Yeshua and so forth. And then they go back where they belong, in heaven. Whom the heaven must receive until the restitution of all things. So when Elijah and Apostle John go back to heaven, I think that's the restitution of all things. That might be the last, or close to the last. Okay, so please pray for me and my wife for our peace, safety, protection, joy, healing. Pray for our finances, and pray for better videos and the peace of Jerusalem, and pray for me to do well and be bold on my boots on the ground endeavor. And pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And don't be scared or worried if the power goes out. You're going to be fine. You don't need to hear me every day. We're so progressed into the end of recompenses, approaching redemption. You'll know what to do. You'll know. He'll show you, he'll lead you, he'll tell you, he'll correct you, he'll put you on the right path. You'll know what to do. You don't have to worry about that. When stuff pops up, you'll know. Just take it easy and rejoice. Lift up your head. Redemption draweth nigh. Okay? And if I'm wrong about this, pray the Lord reveal it to me and fix the finances. Okay? That'd be good prayer too. So, I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and whatever you do, worry, wasting your energy worrying, rejoice. Prophecy being fulfilled has to happen, and it's going to look this way. It's going to look worse, but you shouldn't stop rejoicing. Okay? The name's not written in the book of life. It is what it is. You got to accept it. Okay, kids, rejoice always, and I'm out.